Y'all aren't prepared for this one. Hey y'all, it's your girl Chey here, and today is another story time video. You guys are not prepared for this story. Oh, this story is so embarrassing. I'm just gonna hop right into it. Okay, so the last story time video I did was about me getting my weed snatched, right? Well, this video has something to do with two of the girls from that video. So in 6th grade, there was this club called show choir, and I was very involved with it. It was taught by my favorite teacher, but the other people in the class I wasn't really friends with. They were girls who would bully me, but there was this one other person in the class, and he was the only guy in the class, okay? And he was 2 grades higher than everybody else in the class. Everybody else was in my grade, and he was the oldest in the class. So I had the biggest crush on this guy, right? I'm talking about the second I saw him, I was like, oh my god. Little 6th grade Cheyenne was infatuated with him. Like, if he came in the room, I'd be on like the opposite side of the room. Because when I like you, I avoid you. Like, that's just how I work. If I like you, I'm going to run away from you. I don't know how that makes sense. It doesn't. But anyway, 6th grade, you know, comes and goes, and 6th grade is terrible, really. But then comes 7th grade. 7th grade, I also joined show choir. And did this happen in 7th or 6th grade? No, it happened first semester. No, first quarter. First or second quarter. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so we're gonna call this guy Adam. Okay? Let me just tell you a little bit about Adam. Adam is very tall. He is black. And he was very involved in all of the very art types of things in the school. I went to this school for 6th, 7th. I didn't go there for 8th. And then I went there for 9th and 10th. So I did see this guy a lot in my life. And I will get to that later on. He was very involved with theater and painting and photography, like all the creative aspects that you could think of, he was involved. He would help build sets for the plays, then he would turn around and star in the play. He was just everywhere. Come 7th grade, they were like fake friends, but I didn't really have any other choice. I had a few other friends as well, but I just thought that maybe if they were being nice to me sometimes, then if I just went along with it, then they would be nice to me all the time, which did not happen at all. So we're gonna give this girl a name. Her name is gonna be Rad. There's a bracelet over there that says Rad. So her name is Rad, right? She was one of the fake friends I had, but I think she's one of the only people that ever apologized to me for the bullying. But I think it was her who messaged me later on, way later on, like when we were in high school, because I didn't know them, certain people from middle school, because they just left. But she messaged me later on in high school and told me she was sorry for all the crap they put me through. So, thanks, girl. We had a math class together, me and this girl. We kind of got close through this math class because we had to sit next to each other a lot. Naturally, when you're sitting with somebody, you kind of fill the time by talking, because who actually pays attention in class? Whatever. I remember we would write notes back and forth to each other. We had this notebook, and I would write something, and then I would give it to her, and she would write something, and she would give it to me, you know, back and forth. So Rad was also in show choir with me, Adam, Bobby, and the other girl who's not important. We're gonna still call her Bobby, because that's the same girl from my last story time. So if you want to hear about Bobby, go to that one. But we're gonna keep her name Bobby for now. We were all in show choir, and that's the only reason we knew each other like that. So that's why we would talk to each other in the math class, because we already had show choir together, right? One day, on our little notebook that we passed back and forth to each other, she asked me if I like anybody, and I'm like, yeah, do you? And she was like, no, but who do you like? And so in my head, I'm having this debate. Do I tell her who I like, or do I keep it to myself and everything will be great? My dumb self, I go ahead and I write down his name and tell her who I like. And she's like, oh my god, that's so cute. Like, you got to be so cute. I should tell him. And I'm like, don't say anything. You have to swear you won't say anything. And she's like, yeah, fine, I promise. She lied. She lied so hard. The day went on, and then show choir comes that day. I was hanging out in the corner with everybody else. Our teacher wasn't really ready to start class yet because it was still in between period. You know how you have the walking period in between classes? Well, it was still then, but we were already in there but she was doing other stuff. So I can't. So Rad comes into the class, and Aaron and Bobby and the other girl were already all in the room. So she comes in and she's like, "Ayo, Adam." Did I call him Adam or Aaron? I think his name was Adam. Well, his name is Adam now if it wasn't. She was like, "Yo, Adam, I have to tell you something." And immediately I'm like, I know what she's gonna tell him, so I'm gonna go over to my backpack and make it look like I'm looking through something so that I'm not a part of this conversation, because I don't want to be a part of this conversation. So I'm like over isolated from them now, trying to look busy, but clearly I'm not looking busy at all because there's nothing in my backpack I'm looking for. I'm just digging through my backpack. She's like, "Somebody likes you." And he's like, "Okay, who?" Clearly he didn't even really care. And she's like, "Somebody in this room." And I'm like, oh my God, she said she wouldn't say anything. He's not really getting it. So she decides to start to write it out on the board. She's writing Cheyenne likes, and he's like, "Oh, I get it." And he erases it off the board. And I'm mortified. I'm over in the corner, like watching out of the corner of my eye. But I'm pretending like I didn't see anything so that I didn't know that he knew, but I did. So after that all happens, class goes through, but all I'm thinking about is the fact that she just told him that I liked him and everything is awful. But he is a great guy. Like, Adam, I freaking love him to death. The crush probably never went away, but don't tell him I said that, okay? Okay. So class goes by, class is over, everything's great, and he never brings it up to me. So I'm like, thank God he never brought it up to me, because honestly, I just didn't, because I knew he was 2 grades ahead of me. We were acquaintances, friends, kind of, but I just knew that he was not into me that way. Little did I know. Okay, so just wait, I can't. So then after that, 7th grade ends and 8th grade comes, and I go to a different school for 8th grade. And 8th grade was that's a whole different story time. Like, trust me, I'm planning on telling you the story of 8th grade because that was the worst year in my life. Like, ever. I hated 8th grade. I hated the school. I hated teachers. I hated everything. So don't worry, a whole story time on 8th grade is coming. 8th grade comes, and my best friend, she went to the school that I had just left. I went there for 6th grade and 7th grade, and when I went there for 7th grade was the first year she came, because she's a year younger than me. So she came for 6th grade when I was in 7th grade. So she was in 7th grade when I was in 8th grade. And the way things would happen is we would always carpool because she lived 2 streets down. So her mom would take us to school, and then my mom would pick us up. But since I didn't go to that school anymore, my mom just went and picked up Brina. And she would hang out at our house until her parents got home from work, and then she would go home. So one day, I get home from the public school I went to. Every time I get home from the bus, Brina's already there. So I get home, and Brina's there, and then we start doing our homework together, because that's typically what would happen next. And we're just talking about the day and everything. So Brina was like, today was the diversity day at school. I really appreciated this school for this. They were very inclusive, kind of, and very aware of social issues and getting everybody talking about them. Once a year, they would have everybody meet up in the gym, and then we would talk about like sexuality and gender and race and how you identify. I think that's another reason why it turned out the way I did, very inclusive and very open to everybody and the way everybody identifies. So this day, everybody would go to like one workshop or another workshop, or they would have like a race workshop, or they would have like sexual orientation or your gender and all that stuff, right? So Brina's like, today was the diversity day. I was like, oh cool, what happened? She was like, well, Adam got up during the orientation part and was talking about what it's like to be, because by this time he was in 9th grade because I was in 8th grade. And he was talking about what it's like to be gay in high school. And I was like, hold the phone. What? And let me just tell you, back then my gaydar was very bad. Gaydar isn't a thing. People say gaydar isn't a thing, but my abilities to figure out if somebody is gay or not was not very sharp. I wasn't very aware of all of that stuff, like sexual orientation stuff, just yet when I had a crush on this guy. So I was like, you are shitting me right now. For real? He's gay? She was like, you didn't know that, Cheyenne? But then after that, once I had thought about it, I was like, wow. Where did I meet him? Show choir. I don't know if that's stereotypical of me, but I just feel like that should have been a red flag for me. I was in love with the gay man, and he knew that I liked him. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because there's a little bit left to the story. So after 8th grade, I went back to the school for 9th and 10th grade, as I said earlier. He was still at that school. The entire time I was there, I still had the hugest crush on him ever. 10th grade, my mom did the choreography for the musical we did, Singing in the Rain. Of course, Adam was in it. Of course, he helped build the set for it. And by this time, he was a senior. Let me tell you this. Why did him and my mom become best friends? Like, he would call her mom, and she would be like, oh, that's my son. Oh, he's your brother. Oh, and I'm like, Mom, you're not supposed to be closer to my gay boyfriend than I am. And to this day, they're still closer than we were. Yeah, but we were friends after that though, because I used my mom to get close to him. Because he was the lead in the play, of course. So she would have like rehearsals with him and like the other people that he would be in songs with. And since she was my mom, and if I didn't have a rehearsal myself, I would just be at the rehearsals. Like, if I didn't have to go rehearse for my part or anything that I had to do in the musical, I would be watching her rehearse with them. Okay, so I was just editing this video and I completely forgot to tell you guys, oh, it's hot in here. I completely forgot to tell you guys about another part of this story. I never really mentioned the fact that I definitely told him later on that I liked him. It was his graduation, and that class was the last class to ever graduate from that school, because after they graduated, that school closed down, which is why I had to transfer schools, which is a whole other story. I can tell you guys about that as well. So there were a few seniors that graduated that I was very, very close to. So I decided that I was going to give them all cards. And of course, Adam got one of these cards, right? So I wrote in the card like a whole message about how he inspired me, just because he was a very real person, a very genuine person, and he was very passionate. So I was very driven by, you know, his example. I wrote that down, and I also wrote at the bottom, P.S. I might have had a crush on you the entire time you were in school. Which, yeah, okay. That's the time that I was kind of obsessed with this one guy, and he turned out to be gay. Whatever. Story of my life. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and tell me any embarrassing crush stories you have. I have so many more, trust me, so many more. So if you want to see any more, let me know. If you want to see the 8th grade story that I said I was going to do, let me know. Subscribe for more videos of this face, and until next time, it's your girl Chey, signing off.